If you're wanting to learn how to make a cute throw pillow based on the love sculpture, then you're in the right place. Hi, this is Stephanie with Getting Stitchy, and we're gonna get started here. So right now I'm laying out fabrics. These are all fabrics that are by K Facet, and two of them are his prints. That's what he's the most well known for. This one right here is actually what is called a shot cotton. And what's really cool about shot cotton is that the weave will be one color and the weft will be a completely different color. And so in this case, the weave was blue and the weft was orange, or the other way around. But it creates a nice dimensional effect. So here's one of the prints, and all of these are going to be the background squares, and I am cutting them to 8-inch squares. So there we are, trimming it up and getting it all nice and tidy. And then this is just auditioning the pieces, and then this way I can set it up for sewing. So here I am at the machine, and I am sewing the background squares, 2 at a time to each other. And the reason why I've done it this way, where one square is on top and it's not just both sewn the same way, is so that I don't have to detach these squares when I sew the 2 squares to the other 2 squares. So there we go, I have it lined up, and that center seam looks nice, and then I'm just ironing it here. And here I'm splitting the seams. Splitting the seams is basically where you cut that little center intersection seam, and then you just have the seams spin around in one of the directions, and it makes it so it's real nice and flat, and it's easier, especially if you're quilting over it. So here are the letters from the 3rd page printout of the love sculpture, and these, they have to be enlarged, so just, you know, cut them apart and then enlarge them on the copier, and they will end up that way. And then they should fit perfectly on the background squares. And so there I'm just kind of making notes like which prints I was going to use for those letters. And so this is Heat and Bond. It's a Pellin product, and it's basically fusible on both sides, but one of the sides is paper. So what's nice about that is you can actually draw on this paper. And so for this, I will have to have these letters drawn onto it backwards. And that way, when I'm fusing the fabric on, it's going to be the right direction. So here I have a light box. You could also tape this to a window, tape the letter, and then just position the Heat and Bond over it and draw it. But I have a light box, which really makes it a lot easier. So I'm just going through, and you know, it's nice to use a ruler because there's a lot of straight edges when you have letters. So this way it's just nice and neat, and I have a really good way of being able to cut these letters out. So now I'm tracing the 3rd letter, and again you can see that it's reversed. That's very important, because otherwise you're going to end up wasting fusible and fabric. Okay, so that was actually the 4th letter. Okay, so now I'm cutting out the letters. And then this way, I'm only fusing just as much as actually really needs to be fused onto the fabric that I'm using. And that way I'm not being wasteful. And then here's one of the fabrics that I'm using for letters. And I'm putting this on the reverse side of the fabric, or the wrong side of the fabric. And this is a print, so I spent a little bit of time figuring out where to position these letters so that the print would be in a good placement that I liked for this. That's the thing with K Facet fabrics, is he has these very wild, vivid kind of floral prints, and so if you're trying to go for having a particular color be more dominant, then you kind of have to spend some time doing some placement. So the next step after fusing that would be to cut these letters out. So just carefully go through. The scissors I'm using are Karen K. Buckley scissors, and I highly recommend these scissors if you do a lot of applique. They actually have a serrated edge on the scissors, on the scissor edge, and so it makes it a lot easier to cut around all of these shapes that you would do in applique. And so if you do actually want to do a lot of applique and you haven't heard of that, then definitely look for those scissors. They're very worth it. So here I'm fusing the letters onto the K Facet orange fabric, which is more like kind of an orange and gold with the different threads. So just take the paper off, and then I can position the letters. So positioning the letters like shown there. And for the most part it's easy to get the heat and bond paper off. If it's a little bit difficult to get the edge, then you can kind of tear it a little bit in the middle and that'll help. So these actually came off pretty easily, and that was nice. So I'm just doing some final positioning here. And it's very important because once this is fused on, it is on. So I'm happy with it, and now I am ironing these letters down. And if necessary, you know, because these are letters and there's kind of little floppy bits on like that part of the L and particularly the E. And so as necessary, like right there, it kind of flopped slightly to the side, so I repositioned that. And just, you know, press this according to the directions of the fusible. I believe in this case it's about maybe a 10-second press to really get it pretty good and fused. And I'm just checking it, because when I lift the fabric I can see. So right now I'm going to cut out the background squares, and I will need two 2" by 8" pieces and two 2" by 9½ pieces of each of the fabrics that I used in those background squares. And this way I can create kind of a treasure box sort of a look to the quilt top. So I'm just going through and I'm trimming it up and just using a couple of different rulers here because this ruler is smaller. And then I can audition these pieces, and you know, the longer pieces they're for the top and the bottom, the shorter ones are for the sides. And so right now I'm going to stick two of the side border pieces together, and then I'll stitch the two top and bottom pieces together. And this is easy, I can just chain stitch it. And as always with any of this stuff, 1/4 inch seam. So now I can finger press these to the side, and I want to make sure, so I was checking it there to make sure that I was pressing it to where it'd be opposite the direction on the 4-patch. So I have that matched up, and I have those seams nested, and I'm securing with a pin. And now I can go ahead and attach the side border pieces to the side of the quilt top. So now I've got that one, and then I can go ahead and do the other side and matching that up again to make sure that it nests the way I want it to, pin it, and then just sewing it on that side to the 4-patch. And what this will do is it creates kind of this treasure box block kind of a look to it. I believe that block is called the treasure box. So now I've done the same thing with the bottom, and I'm going to go ahead and attach the strips to the top. And you know, I like to use the pins as like an awl or a stiletto. That's just one of the things that I do, and that way I keep everything in place. So right now I have some batting that I've cut to be a little bit bigger than my quilt top. And then I'm just putting the quilt top on top, I'm just smoothing it out real nice. And then I just go ahead and I put my safety pins in and just putting them around and just making it so that it's gonna stay nice and flat and work really well for me when I'm at the machine. So I have some orange thread there, and I'm going to use that for my L and my E letters because they're orange. And I'm just going through and I'm edge stitching this applique down so that it's going to stay on there really nicely. So, you know, it's good to just go slow. These are letters, and you just want to make sure that you're going through and doing this. And so here, this is after I've stitched all the rest of the letters down, and I've picked out a thread that goes a lot better with that background colors of kind of a neutral blue. I think the thread that I used is more of like a gray, so it goes really well. And I'm just kind of echoing that inside, just inside past the border there, so that it looks really nice. And then I'm going to put my free motion foot on, and I'm going to free motion a pattern in the border. Now I could do like a heart vine or some other heart type of a pattern, and that would go very nicely with the overall theme of the pillow, which is love. But I decided to do a leaf vine because the fabrics that I have here are definitely floral and leafy fabrics, and so I just felt like it was kind of a better choice. It's very important to make sure that the pattern doesn't go close enough into the edge where it gets cut off. And then here I just do a little bit of a curve so that I can go around that corner, and then I can keep going with my leaf vine. Here is more of that orange fabric, and I'm going to use that for the back of the pillow. So I'm cutting my pieces out. And basically what I want is I want an overlap. You could actually make this to where it's a little more exact and then put a zipper in, and that would be fine. But I like to have them overlap because I find that they stay closed perfectly fine and it just seems to go faster. So right now I'm taking the pieces and I'm almost doing it in half there, and just kind of finger pressed it so I knew where to cut, and so that way I can cut that out. And now I've got my two pieces. And then you just hem along one of the long sides of each piece. I didn't have to on one of them because it was a selvage. And that one I was able to position that so that that would end up being under. That would be like the under part of the flap there. So that's not seen. So here I have to trim off the excess batting, and then that will get this pillow top ready so that I can position the background fabrics here. So just putting those on right sides together, and then like I said, I have that selvage piece to where that's going to be on the inside. You know, just pin it in place on the edges, and definitely pin the two pieces together as well. And then you just stitch the perimeter of the pillow cover. So now it's all stitched. I'm removing the pins, and then I'm flipping the finished pillow cover, and I just like to pinch the corners and then poke those through. That works really, really well. And then now I have it pretty much all nice and smooth. I'm kind of finger pressing the side seams to where they're a little bit more kind of open, and that will make everything just kind of lay nice and flat that way. And then you could go through and actually stitch that, kind of edge stitch it on the perimeter, which I think I did end up doing. Here I'm just trimming different loose threads and just making it nice and presentable. And then here's the pillow form, and you just put that in there and you tuck in into the little flaps like that. And then the pillow is all done. That is very nice throw pillow, and I still use it on my sofa. I love that thing every single day. So if you want to check out a video where I do more of the free motion work, then go ahead and check out this next video. Thanks for watching.